So we're here to solve this Galaxies and Tetrominoes puzzle by Mebane. This was also the genre that I selected in the WPC playoffs as my own puzzle and worked rather well for me. It's a style I like. It combines object placement and intuition in part with just a skill which you can ultimately learn in Galaxies puzzles if you focus on them enough, which is where there's cells that are very difficult to reach by any galaxy, and in sort of a different feature. So in a Galaxies puzzle, I'll take a cell like this. This cell can't reach to this galaxy because it's blocked, can't reach to this galaxy because it's blocked. These are way too far away. At least at the very start of the puzzle, conceptually it could map to a galaxy like this. It's going to be very tricky in this genre for that to work. And in fact, if you actually visually map what that looks like, it isolates these cells. But in this combination, you can find cells where the fact that they can't reach any galaxy at all makes it a necessary tetromino piece, and that will then help you quickly bridge and sort of even shade more tetromino pieces, recognizing this has to be a tetromino because of the complex logic I was just describing. This cell has to also be part of one, things like that. The most critical cell to think about in that light is this cell right here, which, because of its arrangement to this galaxy, can't sit to here. And at least initially, it looks like it can't reach to this circle here. But one thing we haven't done yet is look at the exterior clues. So let's start by looking at the non-galaxy pieces, but we're going to come back to seeing that this cell is part of a tetromino, which really helps when we get that. The tetromino clues in the outside split into how many cells are shaded and how many things they're coming from. And the early place to start is this column because there are 4 white cells that have no circular pieces in them, and those must all be part of tetrominoes. So those form these shapes. And with these marked, we can see that there's less to maybe do in this column, but we can mentally note that there is something like 1 plus 3 or 2 plus 2 is a distribution of things here. This is probably 3 plus 2 and not 4 plus 1, but 4 plus 1 is possible for it, where the eye would be vertical and then some other tetromino reaches in exactly one cell. The 3-2 is probably the most interesting, in part because it's very cleanly a 2 plus 1. This actually has to be the tetromino that adds 2 into the space. And seeing that, we can actually map what shape it is. It would only be able to take 1 below and 1 above. It can't go 2 down or it would touch this one. And so you should be able to see that this is the T, which is a helpful thing to get. Having marked this column, I'm going to come back to the cell. Now if we look at the cell, it still can't be part of this galaxy. If it were here, it would extend into a tetromino shape, and all these other galaxies are so far away that the remaining cell for the shape would be outside the border of the grid. And so one of the very early steps in this puzzle is to recognize that the cell that I just shaded is part of a tetromino, and all the rest must be part of galaxies in this row, fulfilling these rules. That now means that the I tetromino is going to be down here. That tells us this is indeed a 3 plus 2 split in this column. Recognizing this isn't the I, it's going to have to take one more cell in the column, the row just beneath. That now completes the 3 plus 2 group, where the remaining cell is going to come from this T shape. But now we know that this is not part of a tetromino up here. We're going to see that it's going to be a little tough to get 5 cells entirely in this row, and there's a cell which I'll call almost a choke point cell, which is right here. If this isn't used, the cell above it isn't used, and then we actually have to get 5 in a row being part of the shape. And so to mark that this cell here is a tetromino is just taking advantage of the tight packing of the space. I'll just mark some more edges from a galaxy standpoint. This not being part of a tetromino has to be part of this galaxy. This top one not being a T means it has to actually take this cell, so we've now found the L in the grid. This cell can't be part of a Tetromino because it's touching a Tetromino, and it can't be part of any of these galaxies except for this one, so we'll just get that in the grid pretty fast. We've marked this galaxy shape, and the cell being taken makes the cell unreachable by a galaxy now, so it's going to be used here. We have a 4-2 in this whole column. We now have marked 2 cells here, so this is a 2 plus 2, so we need to take 2 contiguous cells, the remaining Tetromino. This is the only group of 2 that is left, so that completes the location of the eye for us down here. We can start to do something, you probably noticed this a while ago, start to do something we need to do, which is this cell is kind of tricky to map to a galaxy. Actually, you can know it maps to this galaxy. Nothing else lets us reach and complete and maps to here. And at least until we'd done the shading here, you might have had a wrap of the A going above or this path going below. With what we've now marked out here, the A path to form a contiguous galaxy has to come like this. I use letters like this and just make sure my shapes come together. I don't know sometimes how these connections go. They connect somehow. That does help us a little bit, though, that we're going to see some of the shapes starting to come in. That galaxy doesn't have any extra cells it's taking, so all of these that we've marked in white have to be part of this shape. This one has to be part of this shape, which is over here. This Tetromino now only has these options left for it. This cell can't be taken by this galaxy, so it's up here. Last cell here. We already have the L in the grid, and let me just mark this as the S. So it has to be a J. Have these as the remaining pieces of this galaxy shape, and now they're all in. That leaves just enough space for an O in the center. We now have marked 3 of the cells here, 4th cell here. There's going to be 1 more coming from the shape, and the only remaining shape is the Z. So let's just do a little bit of cleanup down here. This galaxy is complete. This cell has to be part of a galaxy that looks like this. If the Z sort of wants to come and take this cell, it can't take these to be a good Z shape. Makes this part of a galaxy coming like so. That isolates the T to the left. This comes up, finishes this shape here. And so this puzzle we marked as moderate difficulty, but for people who weren't necessarily used to using both of these styles together, and particularly maybe not isolating some of these specific cells which can't reach to galaxies, and then not breaking apart these clues, like this 2 plus 2 solution for the middle column really cleans up the look of this entire galaxy in the lower right. There are some tricks to it, but it's a really good combination of galaxies with other things. Galaxies are often somewhat tweaky or too tweaky, where you'll try a thing and it won't exactly work, and you'll move in some cells, move out some cells. That you can find in a Galaxies plus Tetrominoes or Batominoes puzzle, cells that just can't be part of any galaxy is how you actually seed some of these shapes. And the thing that happened in the WPC playoff puzzles, that means that oftentimes even these external clues aren't very useful. There is exactly 1 external clue in the WPCA playoff puzzle, but it was about finding these isolated cells. So hope you learned something about this example, and we may have more of this variation soon since we think it's rather fun. We'll see you again.